What's up? This is Open Minded. I'm Pete, here with Zach, and today we're going to ask the question, why in the hell are films so bad nowadays?
I hate this subject.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime.
Like the interesting thing is the houses you see around you are all solar houses.
21st Century Fox has been holding talks to sell most of the company to Walt Disney.
So I've seen a couple of the new films that are out in theaters right now. And I don't think this is a very generalized question because not all films are bad. But there are a lot of bad films coming out, and they're not just like, oh, this person is an independent filmmaker and made a bad film. It's like, oh, the studio spent $250 million to make this film, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
How do you spend that much money? And then after you get all the backlash from making a terrible film, how do you spend the same amount of money making an equally terrible film with the same director the very next time? Like, it's... I just don't understand. And then the good films that are being made are being swept under the rug. And they're getting positive feedback, but nobody's watching them and nobody's buying them. For instance, Blade Runner 20...
Oh my God, I love
whatever
it.
year it took place in. The second Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Fantastic
And-
film. But... And critically and like with... viewers all praised it, but yet it barely made any money at the box office, and so they're not going to make another one probably.
Well, hopefully they do, because, like, I think, like, art films or artistic movies don't really get people to watch them. Well, I do it too, though. Like, I'll watch Netflix, and sometimes before I go to bed, I'll just put on something stupid, so I don't have to be immersed and pay attention to it. Just something in the background.
Yeah.
Like, that's, like, Captain America movies and Iron Man movies. That's like, you
I
put
thought
that
those
on while
movies
you're
were made
working
pretty
or
well
something.
though. Compared to some movies that I've seen recently,
Compared
those
to some
movies
movies,
are
compared
actually
to, like,
made
the
well.
Emoji movie,
Oh.
yeah, so much better. But compared to, like, a Nicholas Winding Refn movie, or, you know, Stanley Kubrick, or any of these, like, great directors,
Yeah.
it's you have to pay attention to those movies. Like, you're not, like, just briefly glancing over at 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like, you're watching that movie. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Well, I try
So-
to do that with every single film that I watch. I try to actually...
Well, the first time, yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. But so, okay, when it comes to making a good film, I think that there are multiple things that can really mess a film up, or multiple important aspects of a film that could make or break your film. The writing, the performances,
Bad CGI.
the visual effects, and the editing. And those four things, I think, well, sound too. But a lot of the times, movies, like professionally made movies, the sound is pretty good at least, or at least forgivable. But I think the first four things really can make or break it, because I've seen movies that have great performances, that have, good CGI, or they don't try to push themselves past their limit with their budget, and they don't, like, over CGI it, and the editing was good, but the writing was just god awful, and it's like, and the amount of exposition that was in there, and the way it came out, and just, lame forced jokes, and then I've seen, and it completely ruins the movie. And one movie that in particular I saw recently was The Cloverfield Paradox. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
Man, that movie, I thought it had a lot of potential, but
Me too.
the writing was terrible. The CGI wasn't bad. I enjoyed the CGI. It was passable.
Yeah.
But then the acting
I-
was pretty bad too.
I think my favorite part, and the only part, like, I remember that is worth remembering,
The
or
opening credits.
no, was
Oh, man, I thought
him
that-
getting his arm stuck
Oh, that was stupid.
and he was doing the thing with the arm. No, and then that's it. Just that scene where his arm is stuck, and it's like, what the fuck? Okay, some weird shit's going on. The arm is in there, and he's like, it's like pulling him in, then it comes out, and his arm is off, but he's not bleeding. And then that's the end of it.
Yeah, but the
That's
fact,
the only cool part, I think.
I hated that part because I saw it happen, and I was saying, wait a second. What's happening? Why
Yeah,
this hasn't
exactly.
happened before? And then they never address it again after that. They're like, "Oh, that just happened. Accept
that
it. It has nothing
I
to
was
do with the
thinking
plot.
that should have
Doesn't
been-
push the movie forward. Has nothing to do with the plot of the film. It's just like something random that happened, and you just have to accept it."
Yes, exactly.
That's
but if
bad
the movie,
storytelling.
That was in the beginning of the movie. If it kept going with that kind of stuff, like just like weird physics would happen, you know, or some like that guy started like having like something wrong with his genetics. He got like crazy radiation or whatever it was. Who knows? The guy who died. And then like weird thing. It should have just been like weird, strange things instead of like, oh, we just got transported over here and like.
I think that there was a huge flaw with the amount of information that they tried to shove into this film and the amount of just off the wall ideas that they never explain. Like, it's just bad writing to me. But the CGI
Well, I
was
agree
okay.
with you. I didn't like it.
The performances were not very good, to be honest. But there are so many films like that you watch the trailer or you see the art and you're like, wow, this has a lot of potential. But then the writing completely kills
Ruins it. Yeah. Like Dune, but that's like a long time ago.
That's a
like
long
Dune
time
could have
ago.
been so good. I remember I made you watch Dune, but I only made you watch it because I've seen it like a million times. But I watched the documentary Alejandro's Dune,
Yes.
and I should have just made you watch that because it's so fucking amazing. His ideas for it was so cool. But yeah, I think one of the main problems we have with movies right now is nobody's doing like original content, and when you do find it, it's in, you know, not a mainstream area. Like there's Netflix, but that's not like, you know, on TV and like commercials and all this
Well,
stuff.
Netflix, I think, is making a lot of original television shows, but when they make movies, like, they're hit or miss with the movies, and a lot of them aren't really original. Like, they seem original, but then you realize that it's based loosely off a book or a biography, or it's a remake, or, you know, stuff like that. Like, even like the new movie Annihilation, which I think looks really good, the one with Natalie Portman.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
don't
wow, this
watch
is original.
previews.
This is
Don't
like
forget.
I don't watch. I watched the first 30 seconds of previews because I don't want the plot of the film to get given away. But I saw the trailer and I was like, this looks amazing. This looks so intense. It's an original idea. And then I realized it's not an original idea. It's a book, and he's adapting the book into a film. Still looks like a good
What book?
movie. Annihilation.
Oh,
But I don't. Yeah, there's no original ideas. But even if they were like, you see adaptations and remakes and prequels and sequels that are made well, and you see what works and what doesn't work.
adaptations, and then just an original movie.
I know.
It's a movie about a guy trying to make a screenplay about flowers.
Yep.
Because he liked a book that was written by a girl and it was about orchids, and he didn't want it to be crazy. Oh,
It was so crazy.
yeah, like why can't and that's when you could actually like put that on in the background and not even pay attention to that. That's a good movie you could watch. All right, yeah.
Well, look at Mad Max Fury Road.
I love that movie. I don't care
That
what
movie
anybody
was
says.
made perfectly. It was an
Yes.
amazing sequel to.
Good, because we were about to get in an argument if you didn't like that movie.
No, that's an example of how a movie doesn't have to necessarily be an original movie, but it can still work because the filmmaking, the storytelling, the acting, the visual effects, and the editing,
The
all
lack of
worked.
CGI.
Well, if you've seen some behind the scenes,
there was CGI, but it was all stuntmen. It was all like car crashes. It was crazy.
the CGI supplemented the visual effects that were captured in camera. They didn't
Yes.
completely try to manifest something computer animation. It supplemented it. So that's a good use of CGI. Everything about that movie was really amazing. It was on point. It was almost a perfect film. But then you look at a film like The Dark Tower. It's terrible storytelling.
I saw that too, and I didn't know what to expect or anything, and it was worth the like $4 I spent to rent it. That was it.
It wasn't even worth that for me. You have a complete blueprint, an amazing outline of a story called the Dark Tower series. The Gunslinger is the first book, written by an amazing storyteller who knows about world building, and personal development and character development and conflict. And you take that amazing outline that you already have in place for you, and you just completely mess it up by trying to make it friendlier for audiences and trying to shove.
I hate that. You're not making a movie for everybody, you know. You're making a movie for people, a person that wants to watch it, you know. They're not going to want, like what they did with Ghost in the Shell was so bad. Like, you had the perfect movie. Just make that movie real.
Yeah.
You know, you could have just done that, and it would have been, people would be buying it on DVD. Nobody's buying that, you know?
Another perfect example of a way how to do it right, Harry Potter series.
Yeah, even if it's not going to be original, if you're going to do, like, just do a perfect remake.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, if you have that blueprint, like, if you follow the books precisely or the comics precisely the way that they are, that movie ends up turning out good because it was an original idea and it was done right the first time. But if you try to change it and make it your own, apparently the writers in Hollywood are not very good at what they're doing because they can't come up with original ideas, and when they try to adapt an idea that already exists, it ends up turning out like crap.
Yeah.
The overuse of CGI, the underuse of character development and character-driven films, the worry that you're going to make a boring film if you don't have an explosion or a fight scene every 5 minutes.
Yeah, or like some hot chick.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And trying to force this SJW fucking shit into it. Like, imagine if they tried to fucking have, like, women and Asians and, like, black people in Dunkirk. Like, that would have made no sense, you know?
Well, that's a historical drama.
It was a historical movie about a certain situation with a certain amount of people in a certain amount of time. You know? Like, not all movies need to be or have, like, a narrative. Can't you just have, like, a movie with all guys in it or all girls in it, which they do?
Well, I think that both sides of the spectrum need work. The people who are SJWs, they have a point that white males have dominated the industry for a very long time, but that doesn't mean you shove minorities or females into roles that don't make sense. You tailor, you make a new story
for them.
that tailors around a female protagonist or an African American protagonist, and you like the way. Perfect example, Black Panther.
I haven't seen it yet. Don't spoil anything.
I'm not going to say anything about it other than the fact that role was written for an African person to play the role. All the roles in that film were cast perfectly, and the story was tailored around that. But if you tried to do the same thing with, like, Dunkirk, like you said, that's a historical drama. That's something that happened. It wouldn't make sense to just push somebody in there because it would be politically correct to do that. If you want to become more politically correct in Hollywood, write more politically correct stories like that center. Or, I mean, look at Alien. Alien and Aliens, that was a female fucking hero that didn't, like, beat the shit out of men who were twice the size of her.
Exactly. I didn't need to suspend my disbelief to enjoy that movie. She made sense in that movie.
She was strong, and she was.
But I just watched this movie, the movie Atomic Blonde.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Half the movie was good because it dealt with things that she could have done without being, like, this amazing martial artist that could take on the KGB and fucking, like, German fucking during the Berlin Wall and shit. Like, you can't tell me that this chick who weighs like 120 pounds can beat the shit out of trained mercenary killers.
Well,
Like,
I think most men couldn't do that, and that's sometimes when you go to movies, you have to
Yeah.
you have to accept the fact that it's a movie and that people in the movie, like Tom Cruise, can't really run for an hour at a time at full sprint. They cut together a bunch of
Yeah.
like little 30-second clips of him sprinting, so it's like people in movies do things that are not actually physically humanly possible, but
yeah, but
the
I can
movies that do
imagine
it the
Tom
best-
Cruise. I could imagine Tom Cruise running for an hour in real life. I can't imagine Charlize Theron
I could
getting into a
she's-
shootout with 30 people and killing them.
There, I think the more pressing issue isn't including certain races or genders into films. I think the more pressing issue is making a good film and writing a good film and not nitpicking. Uh-oh. Okay, hold on a sec. Thank you. I got a package, and Albus is wearing his new shock collar. And the first couple of times when he barks, it doesn't do anything, and then it slowly goes up. It goes nothing the first time he barks, and the second time it's a little bit, and he doesn't even
Feel
flinch.
it, yeah.
And then the second time it's a little bit more, and the third time it's a little bit more, and it's only if he barks within the first 30 seconds, though, just like the one that you were talking about. But it doesn't beep or vibrate, which I kind of wish it did, because then that would trigger him. Mm-hmm. But
Is it working though?
yeah, he barked a couple of times, and then he just started squealing because he was getting shit. But he stopped barking. Good boy. Good boy. Okay, so
Funny.
I think the main issue is writing stories that are tailored around certain individuals that are more believable versus pushing your agenda by like these nitpicky details that don't make sense in the first place. And that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah,
Because-
but that
but
goes
stu-
into
but-
writing though, which is what I think is one of the biggest problems. Is nothing is really original. Like this, it's a lack of good writing. You know, nobody's like almost like everybody's afraid to put out an idea that's original because they're afraid of being it like shut down or something. So they just adapt this story and change the characters around a little bit, and now it's this movie, and like they feel safer putting that out. It's a tried and tested story, so they know they're going to at least make their money back, probably, you know. And
It's
then
all
they
about
do
money.
that, and then half the time it fails because it's so shitty, and we've seen it a million times, you know.
Yeah. Not only that, it what you said about the trailers and what we were saying earlier about how I don't watch trailers because
ever.
But that's a whole nother that's a whole nother story. But
Usually,
it all has
I'll hear about a movie, or I'll see a like accidentally, I'll like glance at the TV at work or something, and I'll see a preview, and I'll see like a cool scene. I'll be and then I'll just like not pay attention, and I'll look up like new movies, and I'll see like this director is doing something with this actor or actress, and I'll be like, oh wait, that's fucking cool, and then I'll like look into that, and I'll just see like a few screenshots or whatever, and that's it.
the first
I just
30
want to know.
seconds.
I want to know what it's going to look like. I want to know who's directing it and who's in it, and I'll make my judgments off of that.
For me, it's the first 30 seconds of a trailer will determine whether I'm going to go see the movie or I'm not. And if I after the first 30 seconds of the trailer am not interested in the idea or the plot or the actors or the director, I probably won't see the movie. And if I am interested within the first 30 seconds, I don't need to see any more until I see the movie. Like, sometimes I watch trailers that are 2.5 minutes long, and it should have been over in 30 seconds. It was just enough to like reel me in, and I'm like, oh man, I'm really excited. And then they just keep going, and then the trailer goes like chronologically through the story. So you see everything that happens, and then you see even like big surprises, like the new Jurassic World movie, the trailer. You see this giant dinosaur come and grab somebody out of the hallway who's holding a gun like this, and he's like holding people up, and then all of a sudden a dinosaur comes and grabs him. That could have been a really tense moment in the film, because you didn't know if this person was going to kill your main characters, or if something was going to happen, and then something unexpected happens. But now we all know it's going to happen.
That's like when we saw Interstellar and The Edge of Tomorrow. I didn't know anything about those movies. Interstellar, I saw like a 2-second movie clip of it, and I turned it off because it looked so awesome. It was like when the robot's like turning into a thing and walking on the water. Yeah. I was like, what? I thought that was like an alien. I was like, that's the craziest alien I've ever seen. And I was like, I couldn't watch anything or know anything about it. And we went and watched it, and I was like, this is... And pleasantly surprised. It was not what I imagined, but it was awesome, I thought. And the same thing with Edge of Tomorrow, which is probably one of my favorite movies like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything. All I saw was like 2 seconds of Tom Cruise in the suit running, and I was like, all right, I'm going to watch that movie. And it was awesome. It was so sick. I didn't even know it was about the time thing.
But the reason trailers are like that is the same reason why studios are making these crazy decisions that end up ruining the stories. It's because they want butts in the seats. If you know exactly what's going to happen in the film and you like that, then I think they think that you're more likely to come to the theater to see it if you know what's going to happen. Because people don't like to be surprised, I guess, or people have certain expectations and they want the trailer to match the beats of the film. But it's all about money. It's all about butts in the seats, and studios are interfering too much with artists, and the writing is so bad in some of these things because I feel like the studios are just trying to get an entity out there as fast as possible so that they can make as much money right now as possible. Yeah. How much money can I make right now? But eventually that's going to be the death of them, because people on YouTube and like independent filmmakers are making stuff that's the quality of the material and the story and the character development is way better than anything Hollywood is doing right now. Hollywood is only all about explosions, special effects, and like cheap jokes and making money. It's all they care about.
But like this movie, the King Arthur movie.
I hated that movie.
Really
hated that movie. The writing was terrible, the jokes were terrible, the CGI was pretty bad, and the editing was just like you could tell it was Sherlock Holmes, because the editing was exactly like Sherlock Holmes.
That's the whole thing.
Nope.
I didn't know anything about it, and I went and watched it because we were just going out and watching whatever movies were new.
Yeah.
We went and watched it, and the first scene I thought was awesome. That elephant fighting scene, I thought that was so cool. That was awesome.
That was, I think, the only good scene in the movie.
Then the movie started playing, and I was like, "Wait, this feels like a Guy Ritchie movie." And then his name came up, and I was like, "Oh, holy shit, it's Guy Ritchie!" And I didn't even know he did it. And I guess because I didn't know anything about it or what to expect or anything, I was pleasantly surprised that it was kind of like Sherlock Holmes.
I wasn't, because I was expecting an epic, dramatic retelling. I think the way, like, the plot points in the story were good. The way that they were retelling the story about what was happening was good. But the execution was terrible. I hated the music. It didn't fit the tone of the film. The editing, the way he edited.
The music doesn't stand out at all.
No, it was not. I didn't think it was. And then the witty jokes and the way, the pace at which they're talking to each other.
That's British people.
Nope.
They all try to be like that.
It was paced the same way as like Shaun of the Dead, which was obviously meant to be a comedy. I didn't think this was meant to be a comedy. I thought it was meant to be this dramatic, like, epic saga. But it seemed like it was a parody on the saga, because there were so many witty jokes and fast talking.
Yeah, if it kept going with the way the beginning was, that would have been awesome. But then it changed into this other movie. Again, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't even know he did it. I thought it was going to be a complete failure, and I was because almost most movies I would say are worth like $10 to watch, at the movie theater or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'll go and watch any movie basically, and I thought it was better than what I thought it probably was going to be. But yeah, Ghost in the Shell was one of the worst movies ever. And what was this other movie that I saw? Mother. Oh my God, Mother.
Well, that was M. Night Shyamalan.
So bad.
M. Night Shyamalan is not a good writer.
No, that was Darren Aronofsky.
Oh, Mother, the one with Jennifer Lawrence?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the other one by M. Night Shyamalan.
It was so bad.
that one
It
called?
was so bad.
The Visit, I think that was called. Yeah.
No, Mama.
Mama?
Yeah, that's what it was called.
Oh. Well,
I think.
yeah, I didn't see Mother, but I
Don't. There's no reason. Don't ever watch it.
might watch it just to see how bad it is. Sometimes I do that.
I'm telling you. You're going to want your money back,
When if
15,
it ever
20
comes
minutes
to
into the
Netflix,
movie.
I'll watch it. I'm not going to pay money to watch it.
Yeah,
But I feel
so
like
many
it's a
movies
gamble,
are
though.
so bad.
It's a gamble nowadays when you go to the theater. A movie, because trailers also sometimes make the movie seem better than it actually is.
Yeah.
Which is another risk about doing making
Kong.
trailers.
Kong, I was surprised. I didn't know what Kong was going to be like. I went and saw Kong on acid, and I thought it was awesome.
Well, obviously,
I thought that was the perfect movie to watch on acid. It was so
It really
insane.
was.
The colors, the giant, things and everything going on, how it was funny and upbeat.
I thought
you
it
know?
was. I thought that was. I actually kind of enjoyed that one. It was different, but once again, though, the writing was not good. The dialogue wasn't very good.
I wouldn't say it was, yeah. There were definitely
The
scenes that
editing
were
and the pacing of the film, I kind of enjoyed it there, whereas I didn't enjoy the same type of pacing in King Arthur. I don't know. I guess and that's why they say film is subjective. It's all personal preference, because I have problems with Valerian, and you love that movie, but I think that the pacing and the writing of that movie was terrible, even though the visual effects were actually really good.
I think I like it because it adds on to his universe. That whole...
Not very well, though.
It does, though. It make it a lot of things kind of tie into other things. Knowing about the universe, it makes it bigger.
For me, the best movies I've seen in the past, couple of years have been either independent films or filmmakers who really know the history of film and composition and storytelling, and who studied that kind of stuff, Christopher Nolan, and people who take the foundations of filmmaking, that what made films great when they first started, and evolved it, used the best tools in order to make the brand better, make film better, versus relying on certain tools to make a film good in the first place. I don't know. Sometimes I just get pissed off when I see a film and it's just terrible beyond all belief, because I just think to myself, wow, I could have done this better.
Yeah. That makes me so angry when I think I could have done this better.
So please, if you're watching, if you want to be a filmmaker, go out and make a film, and even if it's terrible, just learn from your mistakes and watch a bunch of films and learn from their mistakes and do the things that are good and not things that are bad. Because I'm trying to do the same thing. Zach's trying to do the same thing. And I want to see more independent filmmakers out there and independent films that are actually good, that I give a damn about. And I totally want to stop spending $14 to go to the movie theater and see crap.
Yeah. Most of the time when I see a movie, I think it could have been so much better. So much better. It's very rare to find a movie where I could only think to change a few things.
Maybe our
And even
expectations
rarer
are
to
too
be
high.
like, this is a perfect movie. I wouldn't fuck with this movie. That's one out of, I don't even know, 1,000. Rare number right there.
It is. Well, what do you guys think? Are movies getting worse, or are we just tripping on drugs? Email us at openmindedepisodes@gmail.com. And
Go watch a good movie.
yeah,